Knowledge for Men, episode 41.
Welcome to KnowledgeForMen.com, where boys turn into men, where men turn into leaders, into lions, the ferocious few who stand strong, a place where you grow to become the man you were born to be. It's time to take massive action towards the life you want. Get the health, get the relationships, business, and career you've always dreamed of. Achieve a level of success and happiness that you've been searching for so many years. Life has given you enough, and it's time to take a stand and take full control of your life. Stand with us as we interview the most inspiring and successful leaders to give you real-world advice to crush life and awaken the sleeping giant inside of you. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download today at kfmbook.com. There's over 100,000 titles to choose from for your smartphone, tablet, or computer. It's a perfect way to listen to your favorite books in the car, in the gym, or at home. Check out kfmbook.com to start learning in your downtime.
All right, I'm here with Jon Taffer. He's a bar consultant, television personality, author, speaker, and is best known as the host of the hit TV series Bar Rescue on Spike. Jon, I'm happy to have you on the show.
Good to be here, man.
All right, I like the energy. Let's jump in with your favorite success quote and why.
Well, probably the one that I'm known the most for. I don't accept excuses, only solutions. I mean, I truly live my life that way. I hate freaking excuses.
I think we're aware that no excuses is something that you live by. Just from watching a few episodes of your show, I mean, you come in and really just lay it on those bar and restaurant owners, and there's no excuses. You either have the results or you don't have the results, and there's no one else to blame but yourself.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a bad podcast, man, then there's no freaking excuses for that. You blew it, brother. You wake up in the morning, you know that you blew it, and you got to do better. If you don't accept that you blew it, then you never get better, right?
Yeah, now I feel like I'm a part of your show now. You're coming on to me, laying it on me. Well, let's jump into your story and how did you get started with what you do, becoming a bar and restaurant and nightclub entrepreneur and consultant, and now you have your own show.
Well, I went to college in Denver. I actually took political science classes and started tending bar and fell in love with it. And I'm one of those lucky guys who found what I love, man. And I started as a bartender, then assistant manager, then general manager, then regional manager, then food and beverage director at a resort, then manager at a resort, and started my own company and been working for myself for about 25 years. Living a dream, man.
Boom. And just like that, you found your dream. You found something that you were really interested in at a really young age. And I think that's the key. And for the listeners out there is to really, when you find something that you want to do, you'll know. And I think in Jon's case, he knew that he wanted to do it. And he was lucky to find it at a young age where he was, dropped out and then just went on to work in multiple different jobs in the same industry, which led to him creating his own company because he put in the time and he knew what to do when he was going to start his own business. So I know it hasn't been an easy path. I know that you may have loved it, but even still, it's going to be a challenging thing for you to do. So if you could share with the listeners maybe a challenge or a failure that you had to overcome on your path.
Oh, sure. When I was young, like a lot of young people, I talked a great game, but I didn't necessarily walk that game yet. So you BS your way into jobs and then you hope you can pull it off. And I remember years ago, I became food and beverage director at one of the largest resorts in America, and I talked my way into this job. And then once I sat down at my office, I said, wow, man, how am I going to frickin' pull this off? I did. And, I'm fortunate that I've always been able to pull off the BS that I laid forth in the days that I used to BS. And then when I became about 35, 40, I realized, hey, I'm not BSing anymore. I actually know this shit. And, that's a realization you make. But, in your early days, you talk your way into situations and then you got to freaking deliver. And, I've been in situations where unions kicked my doors in. I've been in situations where I'm thrown into failing businesses that I had to turn around. I was put in situations, challenged to build the greatest nightclub in the world once. So challenges met, to me, sometimes were the scariest, but the most worthwhile too.
And so, Jon, can you share any particular examples that you had to overcome?
Well, not a downfall. No, not really. Nothing, no crisis that could have caused a downfall. I have had ups and downs in my career. There are times that I've owned up to 17 bars. There are times that, I've had some that are losing so much money, they eat all the other profits. I've gone through cash flow concerns. I'll tell you one story. Years ago, I opened a restaurant, a steakhouse, and it was the second restaurant I had ever owned. And I opened it in a place called Mall of America up in Minneapolis. And we opened a place with such crowds that the first 4 months of the restaurant, I did like $2 million in sales and lost $600,000 because I couldn't control the thing. I had packed all these revenues, but I was losing money. I ran out of money. And begging somebody, I sold 50% of the restaurant for $150,000. Cost me almost $1 million. Then 3 months later, the restaurant turns the corner, profited $800,000 that year and over $1 million every year thereafter. So this guy, for a $150,000 investment, owned 50% of this thing that was feeding him, in some cases, $700,000 a year in investment, all because I was a jerk who ran out of money. When we chase our dreams, you got to chase it with a freaking wallet, man, or the dreams never come true in life. That's the reality of it. You have to have production facilities or you can't broadcast your podcasts. You had to write a check to get it. So when you enter into business ventures like this, you got to have the money to pay for your mistakes. If you don't, it's like Vince Lombardi said, he never lost a football game. He just ran out of time. You run out of freaking time, man, and the business closes or somebody buys you out, and you would have been successful had you had a few more dollars to get there. That was a close to a downfall for me because I almost lost the restaurant, almost lost $1 million. This guy was my savior by giving me $150,000. It wasn't his fault that I screwed up and now he owned it all for next to nothing, but it was a powerful lesson for me. Almost took me down.
So, Jon, then let me ask you, what keeps you going? That's a huge challenge right there, and you've overcome so many others. But just in the general scope of things, of the challenges and failures that you've overcome, what keeps you going?
Oh, sure. Every morning I wake up really believing that I can solve anything that's thrown at me. That I will overcome. If I need money, I will find it. If I need a project, I will find it. If I need to find someone to build something, solve something, engineer something, design something, I will find it. And every day I wake up with that attitude. When you really wake up with that attitude every day, then you become a risk taker. And that's when you can make it to the promised land. See, if you don't believe in your own ability to come through for yourself, you'd be a fool to take risks, wouldn't you? So risk-taking comes from that confidence. Risk-taking comes from the courage to point your skis straight down that mountain and freaking go, man. But I was able to develop a lot of self-confidence at a young age, so I took a lot of chances. As an end result, I got a lot of big paydays from those chances. So I got pretty rich pretty young because of it. But it all comes back to the question you just asked. What makes me wake up that next morning and go through it even while I'm in trouble? My business is failing. I don't have the cash flow. I'm going to run out of money in 30 days. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? But the fact is, I always knew that I would find a solution. It's powerful, actually.
And you really love what you do. I can see it. You can hear it in your voice. You love what you do. So what is it about what you do that you love? What do you enjoy about your work?
I'll tell you a story. Back in the 80s, I opened up a nightclub outside of Philadelphia called Pulsations Nightclub. And there's still a Facebook page with videos and photographs on it on Facebook called Pulsations Nightclub. And we opened it. And I remember the first week we were open, we did $647,000 in sales, first week we were open. But when I opened Pulsations, I was given the responsibility to build the greatest nightclub in the world. And we spent $16 million building a spaceship 27 feet in diameter that flew into this nightclub and deposited a $400,000 robot on the dance floor. And that robot came out of the spaceship. The room held about 5,000 people on all these different levels. And the robot would come out and go, wow, check this place out. And people would go freaking nuts. And that was the robot they leased in the movie Rocky IV, was our robot. When that robot came out of that spaceship and landed on that dance floor, and 4,000 people were on all these levels watching it, I looked to my left, and this was a powerful moment of special effects and subharmonic sound, and your shirt is flapping from the bass, and the spaceship barrels down and stops 12 feet over the dance floor. These doors open, the fog billows out, and this alien robot comes out of the spaceship, walks out on the dance floor and says, wow, check this place out. And as this was all happening, I looked to my left, and my robot operator, who controlled him in his pocket, had tears going down his face. And then I looked at my other security guys, and I had about 8 or 10 of them around there because we were all guarding the spaceship, had tears coming down their faces. And then I noticed some customers had tears coming down their faces. And then finally I realized I was crying too. And that moment was as close to a religious experience as I've ever come in my life, and it was delivered by technology. We took people to a place where they would have never gone. Customers had tears on their face. Staff had tears. We created a powerful emotional reaction in people live through technology. When that happened, I fell in love with this business at a different level than I ever have before. My job is to make people smile more, dance more, interact more, talk more, and that's a pretty cool legacy. If I can make you go out tonight and have a better time than you normally would, Andrew, right? You know, I'm not going to say overdrink, but drink more, you know what I'm saying? Really party out. Meet that person who changes your life. I have really contributed to the quality of your life. And that's what I do. I make people smile. I make people dance. I make people enjoy. I make people party. That's not a bad legacy, man. I'll take it any day.
All right. So would you say that you create amazing experiences for people?
Yeah, I actually own the term reaction management. It's actually a trademark term. I own it, reaction management. And here's the principle of what I say. I don't believe that we play music in bars. We play reactions. We achieve it through music. We don't serve food. We create reactions. We achieve it through food. When a plate hits the table, either you sit up or you don't. We don't serve people. We create reactions while we serve people. So bars and restaurants are in the business of creating human reactions. That's what we do. And the bars that create the best reactions fucking win. End of story. That's how it works. So the fact of the matter is, I'm going to manipulate you for those reactions. I'm going to do anything I can to cause you to go, cool, man. Yeah, she's great. That's great. This song, wow. Oh, wow. I got to cause you. So yes, it is experience-based, but I would use the term reactions. In the sciences and the network that I have where I train people, we talk about reaction management, how to do it. And then we talk about a concept called GROWS, GROWS, which is guest reaction opportunity windows. Moments in time where I fuck with you. Make a left turn musically that makes you say, wow, that sort of surprised me. You know, do something with my food presentations that makes you go, wow, that sort of. And, you know, I'm messing with you in a good way, but I'm trying to do something out of the norm that causes you to sit up and react to something. And when I get you to react, I own you, man. And that's my business.
Yeah. It almost seems like you're a musician and the restaurant is your instrument and the reactions you're getting from people is the music.
It is very much so. And you know what I'm doing is I'm playing to human behavior. I'm steering your eyes where I want them to go. I'm steering your body where I want it to go. You know, I know where your eyes are going to land. So in my design, I'll make them land where I want them to freaking land. And I cause things to happen by trying to modify natural human behavior, which is getting you to look in more eyes than you normally do by seating heights, flow patterns. I keep everybody's eyes within 10 inches of each other in height. So you look in more people's eyes, right? When you look in a girl's eyes, that's not a bad thing, is it, Andrew? So when I create that interaction for you, and then there's silly stuff like, you know, an elevated area, a couple of steps up and there's seating there. Let's say there's a beautiful elevated area and you want to go check her out. There's one staircase. So you walk up the staircase to that elevated area, you walk by her table, you hit a dead end. You feel like an idiot. You got to turn around and walk back the other way. She knows what you did. Everybody knows what you did. You walked up to check them out, but if there was another staircase on the other side, you'd walk through with a purpose. Come in one end, out the other. I'll create far more interaction with a second staircase than I would with one. That's the science of human behavior. Then when I create the same eye height, I've got you walking by more girls, looking in the eyes of more girls. Then I put butt funnels on the dance floor so you're rubbing up against more girls. And what I'm doing is I am forcing more interaction than would be natural. So you have a better time, you meet more people, and I get my hands so deep in your pocket, my fingers are around your ankles and you don't even know it.
I've noticed just from talking to you now and by watching your show, you're very personable, you're very relatable, and you're good at speaking. Is this a skill that you've always had, or is this something that you've been working on during your life?
Uh, I think it's both. I've been given the gift of gab for sure, but I've been a public speaker for 30 years and I get paid a lot of money for it. I do speeches all over the world. I speak at industry conventions and events, motivational speeches and such. And some of them are on YouTube if anybody wants to find them. There's one called The Concept of Success, which is on YouTube, which is just a sample of that. So as a speaker, I've taken somewhat of a talent and added a skill to it. So yeah, I've worked it over the years. So as a speaker, I've learned how to choose my words a little better, maybe phrase myself a little better, communicate a little better. But I think it's probably a 20% talent, 80% skill.
Okay. And while we're on that topic, you brought up that video, The Concept of Success. I would actually like if you could break down your view of the concept of success.
Have you seen the video?
Yeah, it's good.
I got to tell you, there's a great story to that video. I did not make that video. A fan made that video in Albuquerque, and he didn't even send it to me. As most people that are online, I have a standard Google search. Once a week, it searches my name and it gives me a report of what's going on with my name on Google. Anybody can get it. So I was looking at my weekly Google report, and it talks about Bar Rescue and the articles and the interviews that I've done. So it's a fun thing for me to look at each week. And there's this little blurb of this video on YouTube. So I click on a video from YouTube. It's about 3.5 minutes more. And it's a video made by a fan who's about 20 years old. And at the end of that video, it was an emotional video for even me to watch. He did such a good job with it. So we then reached out to him. I had my manager reach out to him, compliment him, tell him how flattered I was that he took the time to do this. Found all these clips online. We didn't give him any content or anything. He did this totally on his own from what he found online. And we then paid him to do a couple of edits for us, do a final cut, and I put it on my website, I believe. I'm not sure it's there right now, but we put it on our website, and I've used it promotionally to promote my speaking career. It's really an unbelievable piece. So now I've put my production team in touch with him. His name is David, and we're going to be using him for other things because he's really talented. So it's really, to me, it's incredibly flattering that a fan would take the time to create something like that. And I'm really proud of it. For those that haven't seen it, it's called The Concept of Success. It's on YouTube, and it's pretty damn inspiring, even to me.
Jon, I'll be sure to put that into the show notes, but if you could briefly explain to the listeners a little bit more about the concept of success.
Sure. When I give seminars and work with people, and you see this in Bar Rescue, Andrew, if I try to change what you do, that's bullshit. Don't do this, do that, talk faster, talk slower, walk taller, do this. The next day you're going to wake up, 80% of people are going to do the same damn thing over again, and I'm not going to change anything. But if I can change the way you think, I can't help but change what you do. So when I'm a speaker, I want to pull your brain out of your head, twist it up, and shove it back in there again. I want to make you think different. I want to make you see things differently, react to things differently. Then I can't help but change the way you think. And I do that by shattering some of the ways you think now. And the concept when I'm a speaker is I'm going to try to, in a positive way, erode and attack the ways that you and the rest of the audience thinks. If for a moment I can get you to doubt, wait a second, he might be right. If I can make you doubt yourself for a minute, your brain cracks open and I can walk in and change your thinking. You with me? But to do that, I got to be in your face. I got to be aggressive. I got to really challenge you to the point that you challenge yourself. Now, people challenge every day in life. But sometimes they're friends, they're family. It's a challenge. We listen, we don't react to it. When somebody challenges you aggressively, screaming, yelling, ranting, raving, or on a big stage in a big room with all the lights and all the credibility, I can make you react to it if I'm good enough at it. So my style of speaking is to rebuild people's brains. And the concept of success shows spots and moments of when I do that. For example, Benjamin Franklin has a great quote that I love. And it's, if you do the same thing tomorrow that you did today, you'll get the same thing tomorrow that you got today. So Andrew, if you want more listeners, if you want bigger cars, bigger houses, 2 weeks into, you got to do something different. None of us are going to get much, much more in life if we keep doing the same thing, which means what you did today is almost your enemy tomorrow. You got to reassess it all every freaking day. See, what can I change? What can I improve? If in fact you don't change, then another quote comes up, which was a Thomas Edison quote, which is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result defines somebody crazy. So the exact quote was, insanity is doing the same thing again and again and expecting a different result. So if you do the same thing again and again and expect to change your life, you're fucking nuts, man. It's not going to happen. You got to do something different.
I think it does. And you change the way someone thinks and they're going to be able to solve their own problems. You're not going to have to give them and spoon feed them the answers. They're going to figure it out themselves because you're changing the way that they think.
Yeah, and inspire them, Andrew, so that they actually do take some steps.
Of course. And now, Jon, let's jump into the knowledge round. Are you ready?
I'm ready, man. Are you ready? That's the...
Yeah, right.
For you, the listeners of the Knowledge for Men podcast, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their awesome service. And you know what? Something I've noticed after interviewing hundreds of successful people is that they all read a ton of books. If you want to be successful, you've got to educate yourself. I don't always have time to sit down and read a book, so I personally recommend listening to audiobooks in your car, in the gym, or on the go. You can pick up for free any one of my favorite best-selling books like How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, Awaken the Giant Within by Anthony Robbins, Mastery by Robert Greene, Choose Yourself by James Altucher, The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, or any other audiobook you want. Audible has over 100,000 titles to choose from. To download your free audiobook today, go to kfmbook.com. Again, that's kfmbook.com for your free audiobook today. Start learning, growing, and becoming the man you want to become now. Welcome to the Knowledge Round, where the guests will be asked rapid-fire questions to give the audience invaluable pieces of wisdom to help transform their lives. Starting in 3, 2, 1, showtime.
All right, Jon, what advice would you give to someone who's feeling lost or unsure of their purpose?
Don't be unsure of your purpose. Find your purpose. Everybody has one. Your purpose for the moment could be your girlfriend, could be your wife, could be your child. Your purpose might be just finding a job. Your purpose might be changing where you are today. But make no mistake, if you're lost, then you have more purpose than the guy who's not lost. You got to find what you're looking for. That is a freaking purpose. So if you're lost, don't think you don't have a purpose. You have a greater purpose than anyone. So determine what it is that digs you out. Is it a job? Is it a girlfriend? Is it talking to your family who maybe has lost touch with you? What is it? Find that one thing that digs you out, and that's your purpose, man. When you're lost, you have more purpose than the guy who's not.
Very good. And Jon, was there anything that was holding you back from becoming the man you are today?
Only family responsibilities can sometimes slow down one's career. But, those are the moments that when you look back, you don't regret. If I have any regrets, it's that I worked so hard, traveled to Asia, missed a lot of my daughter growing up. And, those are the moments I can't get back. I could have made the money in other places. But, balance is really important. And when family holds you back, it's good. When business provides for family, that's good as well. But to me, anytime I've been held back, it's been more by choice than by consequence. And those trade-offs were worth it for me.
All right. And have you had a mentor in your life, maybe someone who's provided a lot of value or they told you something that really just changed the game for you? What did he or she say to you?
Well, I'm not sure I've had a mentor per se. I've had people that have impacted me over my life. Doug Weston, who owned the Troubadour in Highwood, California, is one who comes to mind. Doug Weston ran that famous Troubadour for many, many years. I was one of the managers there years ago, one of my first management jobs. He definitely impacted me with regard to music and entertainment. Somebody who's impacted me very much, which will surprise people, who I read every book about and know almost everything about, is Howard Hughes. And Howard Hughes was a remarkable man because he, A, had a drill company, engineering based. He produced Oscar-winning movies, went out with amazing women, had more money than God. I mean, anything this guy touched, he could succeed at. Now, sure, he died a nutcase. I get that. But the fact of the matter is, when you look at his accomplishments, the man invented the uplift bra, for Christ's sakes, Andrew. Isn't that worthy of a bow right there? No, I mean, he's always somebody who's inspired me, and his story is a remarkable one. And then there's a couple of others, the corny. Thomas Jefferson is a real inspiration to me. I mean, the guy really had courage and balls. John Adams was an inspiration to me. Henry Ford is an inspiration to me. Walt Disney is an inspiration to me. I've read books about all of these people, and they have all served to mentor me or motivate me in some ways.
And speaking of books, what are your three most influential books and why?
You'll find this interesting. I've never read, other than two books, I've never read a management book in my life. Been to a management class in my life. Now, I've read novels and things like that, of course, biographies, and I'll answer your question in a moment. But people think that I read every management book and go to every management class. I don't. I've never read a management book except for two, and I'll tell you what they are: 2-Minute Manager and E-Myth Revisited, because I knew Michael Gerber, the author. And I don't go to other business seminars. I like to keep my own thoughts and ideas original. That's one arrogant type of a thing to say. I get that because there's a lot to learn, but it's worked for me. As far as the books that are the most meaningful to me, I'm boring, man. They're going to be biographies. They are. I just finished Brian Wilson's book from the Beach Boys. And not that, I think the Beach Boys are the coolest, but this is a guy who was tortured by his father his whole life, and in spite of it all, rose to levels of genius. Obviously, Howard Hughes, I've mentioned autobiographies on him. And there's a few others, but I'm a biography nutcase. I like to read about humanity and not about fiction. These are easy, man. These are too easy. You got me taking my jacket off. You told me get ready. Badass. I figured, okay, I got to be ready for this. It's a cakewalk, man.
Hey, these are just the warm-up questions. Get ready for the real deal coming your way right now.
Oh.
All right. So, scenario for you. Imagine you had 60 seconds with your 20-year-old self. What would you tell him to do, and what would you also tell him not to do?
Wow, that's a great question.
Oh, boom. Knockout.
That's a great question. Yeah. I think I would have told my 20-year-old self to, when I was young, I played music. I'm in my home office. And right behind me is a drum set, a Marshall mini stack, and 2 electric guitars over there. So music is still a significant part of my life. I don't know if I can show you.
Yeah, I see.
You can see my drum set back there. But I don't know if music is still a huge part of my life. And I stayed with music for a long time before I switched over into an operating, bar management kind of career. And sometimes I regret that I didn't stay with music longer. Sometimes I regret that I didn't go into business sooner. I've had a chance to dabble in both, but during my 20s, and a lot of people should remember this, I had a lot of indecisiveness, and I managed my life by the day. If I loved playing music, so if there was a gig, I was in, man. I loved business. If there was a meeting to attend, I was in. But I was going down 2 opposing tracks at the same time. And I really didn't pull myself out of it to my later 20s. I don't look back at it with regret, but it's something that people who are looking to pursue their dream should do. Because if you love music, but it's a fantasy to succeed in it, don't give it up. Find something else to do in a parallel path. Try to keep 3 or 4 dreams alive when you're young. Don't select one. And I tried to be mature too young and pushed myself to select one or the other a little too young. And I was young, I was single. I could have gone for it a little longer, is my point. It's cool to be indecisive at 20, is my point.
All right. And what's one underrated characteristic that you believe if every person would work on it, they would see massive benefit, there'd be massive value in their life?
Integrity. The most important thing in my life is I pick up the phone right now and call just about anyone I work with, anyone, and say, listen, do this for me now. Don't worry about invoices and everything. Just do it for me and I'll take care of it. There is not one person who will say no to me. There's not one person who will ask me for a check first because they don't trust me. There's not one person who won't believe I won't return a favor if I say I will. When I ask somebody or promise somebody something, my word is everything. And because of that, it is so easy for me to rise to the top of my game because I have hundreds of people around me that will support me. Hundreds. Because I've been in this business for 30 years and I've never burnt one bridge. Yeah, I'm tough. I'm a pain in the ass. I get that. But the fact of the matter is I'm a man of my word and the people around me really stick by me for 25, 30 years. So my point is this. If you maintain an unbelievable level of integrity, meaning if you make a promise, you keep it. And if you make a business commitment, whatever it is, you keep it, then 20 years from now, you're going to have a group of people around you that will support every freaking thing you do. And they will build you to the top. Without that integrity, when you're 50 years old and you pick up the phone and say, send me a such and such, yeah, when I get your check, I'll send it. If that's the point you're at 50, you blew it, man. Integrity drives success. The other thing that is really missing that people don't get sometimes is good humor. Everybody I do business with, I like. Nobody wants to be around the bummer. If you want to be successful in business, show some good humor, show some fun, be the kind of guy people want to be around, want to do business with, want to write checks to, because they like you and they trust you. If you have those two things working for you, you can take your life to the promised land. Without those two things, you're going to have a heck of a mountain to climb.
Integrity and humor are definitely things that are underlooked a lot of times. And now let's get a little deeper. Jon, what's your philosophy on life, on success? I know we've touched on it briefly, but let's go into it a little bit more.
Yeah, life and success is understanding that there are people that have lived what they believe are hugely fulfilling lives and they died broke. There are people who have lived hugely unfulfilling lives and they've died rich. There are priests who die happy, priests who die sad. Movie stars who die happy, movie stars who die sad. Mothers and fathers, and everybody falls on both sides of the fence. At the end of the day, my grandfather once said to me that the thickness of your phone book means a lot more than the thickness of your checkbook. And it was deep and it was philosophical, but it was powerful. At the end of the day, when you're laying in your deathbed, you're not going to remember how much money you have. I believe you're going to remember much more about the relationships you've created, the people that you've helped, and the positive impact that you've had on everyone. That is the ultimate purpose that we have. At the end of the day, I'm lucky. I make a lot of money doing what I do, and that's really a fortunate thing. I also want to tell you, and I haven't told anybody this, I gave tens of thousands of dollars to the Dallas Food Bank last week and didn't tell anybody about it. I just did it when I was at a Fridays convention. So I give a lot of it back. Remember, success is so difficult to define, but you have to determine at the end of your life, when you look back, what is the things that you're going to feel best about? And that's your dream. That's your dream. That's what you have to chase. If it's family, then okay. Then you take a job and a career that provides a lot of time for your family. If that dream is money and success and respect, then you're going to take a different kind of position and take a different direction. If one of your dreams is staying home and having that white picket fence, you're going to take a career that has no travel. But you got to close your eyes at some point and realize what are going to be the most important things to me then. And that's your fucking dream. That's what you target your life to. And that's what, to me, defines happiness.
Jon, that could be one of the most powerful things I've heard in a while. It really was. Define your dreams. Know what you're looking for. Know what that end result is so you know what you're willing to suffer for. Go for those dreams. And now, Jon, as we're coming to a close in the knowledge round, do you want to end with any parting piece of guidance or final short story?
Sure, I can tell a quick story. It's a great story. And I'll leave the names of the companies out. But years ago, I was giving a speech in Asia to a hotel company. I was talking about entrepreneurial spirit and taking chances and how we don't take enough chances in life. And somebody told me a story about a guy who worked for a copy machine company and that he created a whole new division of this company where he was going to make personal computers. He's going to take his company into the personal computer business. So he goes to the CEO of his company. He says, I'm going to create a personal computer division. They give him about $40 million then. He creates this personal computer division. He builds the product. He packages it. He markets it. He sends it out to market, and it's a total failure. Stores are sending them back. Total failure. So the vice president's called into the president's office after this. And he says to him, well, I'm guessing I'm terminated. And the president says, terminated? We just spent $40 million on your education. You're not going anywhere. And that guy became the president of the company. My point is this. The greatest lessons we learn are from our mistakes. The greatest things that change who we are the things that are often the most painful. Pain can change us more than success can. Disappointment can change us more than success can. If you never set yourself up to be disappointed, you can never grow. If you don't set yourself up and take that chance, knowing you might fail, you're never going to grow. And the saddest part of life is the people who never took that chance. They have all the potential, the personality, the look, the style, the energy, but they never had the balls to take that chance because they thought they couldn't deal with failure. The fact of the matter is you can deal with failure. You can dig yourself out of failure. I suggest that if you don't take the step, you failed. So take the step, man. Take the step and understand that when you dig yourself out of failure, you're just that much closer to your next success. If you don't go for it, you don't grow and you'll never find your dreams. That's my ultimate advice.
And it certainly has gotten you far. And something that we can all learn from you is, I mean, you even just said you don't even read all these business and, entrepreneur books. You take risk, you learn from them, and you just move forward. You keep going. And something I've learned from you while interviewing you on this podcast. And now, Jon, what's exciting you today? What are you currently working on?
Well, I'm shooting my new show, Hungry Investor. I'm really excited about it. I just finished the 3rd episode. We start the 4th episode 2 days. And it's myself with John Besh, who's a fantastic James Beard chef and restaurateur out of New Orleans, and Tiffany Deary, who's been an expert on bar rescue, who's a restaurateur from Dallas. And we travel around the country looking for restaurants to invest in. And once we find 2, then we evaluate both of them with an invest test where we really stress them out, and then we pick which one to invest in. And the show is sort of a cross between Bar Rescue, Hell's Kitchen, and Shark Tank. I'm really excited about it. It premieres May 11th. I'm also excited that I just got the official word a few days ago. The network picked up 20 more episodes of Bar Rescue. All right. So I'm excited about that, man. So we have 10 more that start Sunday, March 9th. Right, so we have 10 more brand new episodes that we've already shot, and they just picked up 20 more. So you got 30 more episodes coming your way, Andrew. And then this summer, I launched Taffer TV, which I'm really excited about. And Taffer TV is a business network where bar owners can subscribe to it, and they get all these training videos and content every month to help them grow their businesses. I'm really into helping people grow their businesses. I'm guessing you've noticed that.
Yeah, just a little bit. All right, Jon, go ahead and give yourself a plug so all the listeners can get in contact with you.
Yep. Visit jontaffer.com if you want to stay up on me, or you can find me, Jon Taffer, on Facebook or Jon Taffer on Twitter. And it's been fun, Andrew. I enjoyed it, man. Let's do it again sometime.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jon, for sharing your story, your lessons, and you went deep on the knowledge, Jon. I appreciate that. All right.
My pleasure, buddy. But listen, that next knowledge round has to be a little harder hitting, or I'm wearing my jacket, man. Take care, brother.
All right, and that's going to wrap up episode 41 with Jon Taffer, the host of the reality hit TV show Bar Rescue on Spike. And the challenge and action item to have for you today is to do something that scares you today. Do something that scares you. Do something that you normally just wouldn't do. Something out of the norm. Something that makes you a little bit scared. Whatever that is, email it to me at andrew@knowledgeformen.com. I'd like to hear about it. And just a heads up, for the past about 7 weeks now, I've been working on a product, on a course called the Podcast Blueprint. And it's something that's going to show and teach people exactly what I'm doing in order to build a podcast, showing you exactly step by step, walking you through the entire process of building a podcast. But not only building it, that's where most courses leave you. What you want to end up doing is build it, but you want to grow it to the top. And that's where I come in and teach you how to grow your podcast to the top of iTunes, and also how to acquire high profile guests for your podcast. I think you've seen that I have quite a few guests on the show that are more high caliber than some other shows. Well, there's some certain things that I'm doing, and I share all that with you in my podcast Blueprint product. And right now, if you're interested in this, you can just email me at andrew@knowledgeformen.com, and I'll send you a coupon for this product when it launches next week. All right, I'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you for listening to the Knowledge for Men podcast show. It's been a pleasure having you be a part of a thriving community of men who want to crush it in all aspects of life. I'm on a mission here to inspire millions of guys, and with your help, we're going to make a dent in the universe. Check out knowledgeformen.com for a ton of free content that's designed to help you live a remarkable life. Again, that's knowledgeformen.com. I hope to see you there. And always remember, 2014 is the official year of The Crush, where we take action to get the life we've always dreamed of. This is your host, Andrew Farabee, and until next time, let's do it.